wake up, you know, parliamentary, what should is that what is the role of a senator? I think Article 96 of the Constitution 2010 is very clear that the senator should, the functions, and I see many people confusing. One is representation, oversight, legislation, and of course budget making process or division of revenue or sharing resources to counties. Number two, on a normal working day for a senator is, of course, after waking up and having breakfast. Most of our meetings in the Senate are done. And you know the parliamentary work, and Kenyans should know this, or our viewers, is that parliamentary work involves committee work. It involves county visits or visits for oversight functions. It also involves plenary, where there is debates in the floor of the House and passage of bills, statements, motions. So generally, on a normal working day is after, of course, arriving in the office at around 6 a.m. in the morning. Committees start from 7:38. Then after committee, most of our plenary session begins from 2:30 to around 6:30. It depends also whenever we have something like impeachment proceedings, or we have special sitting, or we have a special business. Under the Senate standing orders, the Speaker can extend sitting hours depending on the order of the day. So generally, and then of course in between, sometimes you have media interviews like this, or media engagement, sometimes meeting social functions like fundraisers, like meetings, what you call networking, meetings of colleagues and caucuses. You have to appreciate that in Parliament we also have parliamentary caucuses from counties to regions, and also sometimes parliamentary group meetings. And of course, over the weekends, mostly social functions like weddings, funerals, arambes, engaging people at home sometimes. Even a few minutes ago, I had the honor of having engagement with church leadership from Nandi area, from African England Church. So it is, of course, in between, sometimes we play football, as you heard Senator Kalwale say. We also try and work out, or in the morning or during the day. So generally, that's a simple diary of a senator. Of course, there are office working hours. You can retreat to your office and work on bills, policies, statements, and also motions. Then you proceed from there. So that is how a normal working day looks like. There is nothing much. But also when we go to county visits, like when we come to Nandi or Mombasa or Garissa, when we do those visits, it's normally either public session or oversight visits. We go and look at the projects, especially under county governments. Then we do a report, and then we present before the House. So we normally visit projects within counties and even outside the country to do benchmarkings sometimes.
Okay, most people have described you as a die-hard sycophantic supporter of the president. Does that affect how you perform your duties in any way?
No, it doesn't affect. To be a sycophant of a government is a good thing. Because it means you believe in government. I think the problem we have in this country is that people who oppose the government of the day want to classify everybody to look like them. Because even in the last session of President Uhuru Kenyatta season 2, some of us who have been supporters of William Ruto, we were branded as sycophants. With some we call diehards. Some we are being called you can catch a bullet. I think there is somebody called Bruno Mars who said, I can hold a grenade for you. So at the end of the day, we are just, the issue is, there is so much disinformation and information, say that when some of us defend the development record and political realignment in the country, we appear as sycophants. But being a sycophant of a government, a sitting government, will never be apologetic. Because this country, even when you go to America, when you belong to a particular leaning, even in UK, when you are a Republican, you should defend the policies of a Republican. When you are a Democrat, and that is why us in Kenya Kwanza and UDA, we are defending the bigger, because the team leader, the team captain of our team is President William Ruto. So we are the players who should come out and ensure the disinformation and misinformation that people have should be dismantled. And that is why most people call us sycophants or diehards. We do it because we believe that the President William Ruto should, and of course will deliver for Kenyans, especially in this region of Rift Valley and across the country. So, and you know, that is democracy. Why is it that when Senator Cherargei stated his position to support government, he's a psychopath? But why is it the people in opposition, when they oppose the government, they are Democrats? So, you know, you cannot have your cake and eat it, and these people are just being, they have nothing to offer, because if they state their position, everybody will listen. The way we defend government, they can critique, and we have never called them psychopaths for criticizing the government of the day.
You have shown a strong support to the NADCO and a broad-based government. Does it affect your relationship with the president, given that there is also a chance of creating a role for Raila Odinga as the Prime Minister?
In fact, I have been the biggest supporter of NADCO, National Dialogue report, NADCO report, when it was tabled before the Senate. And you know, there are a number of legislative interventions that are coming before the House. We have passed, like IEBC laws, the issues of election laws we have passed. It has good proposals, even in terms of devolution, the increment of getting money to come to mashinani. They are introducing ward development fund to ensure that we devolve funds to the local level at ward level. So the NADCO report is very good, and in my own opinion, and I think many people have been attacking me and fighting me for stating my mind, and that is why Kenya is a democratic country. You can speak your mind, I speak my mind. So in this NADCO report, I was proposing that we should amend to create the office and expand the executive. Because this country, whether we like it or not, this country is tribal. When one community is in power, others feel left out. But the only way to address the challenges is to broaden the executive. And that is why I have even proposed that outside the president and the deputy president, we need to create the office of the prime minister and 2 deputy prime ministers. And even you remember, I had even proposed an amendment to NADCO, although many people read too much about the term limit as opposed to other ingredients, because even I was proposing, apart from the issue of term limit, I was proposing the creation and expansion and broadening of the executive so that we can have prime minister. Because if we can have Raila Odinga as the prime minister of the republic, we get 2 deputies from other regions. We have the president, we have the deputy president, we have the 2 speakers, National Assembly and the Senate. I can tell you the temperatures of national politics will drop by 50%. And that NADCO report, if we have to be fair, and this is a reality check, Kenyans must accept that going into the future, and you know the problem we have in this country by constitution, we are neither pure parliamentary or pure presidential. We are a mongrel of something. So we must agree. And even another issue in the NADCO report, so that I conclude, is that I even proposed that in future, it doesn't make sense to appoint a minister, for example, to be a member of a cabinet minister. Then that member of parliament, for example, is caused to resign. There is no need. What we should do when a member of parliament, either a senator or a national assembly, is appointed to the cabinet, they don't need to resign. What we need to do is to pay responsibility allowance. Because one, it becomes costly, because when they resign, you will need to organize an election, which is very costly for the country. Number 2, you will be creating political instability from the regions they come. Number 3, you would have saved the money. Because the moment an MP resigns and becomes a cabinet minister, you will need to give them a new salary structure. But if you are to appoint an MP to be a minister, you just give them responsibility around, they remain, and you save the country. That is why, if the people who are open-minded, they are not opposing anything, they should have listened to me and say, this proposal of having an MP not to resign, but give them a responsibility allowance to sit in the cabinet and be a minister, the way we used to do before, we would have saved a lot of millions to this country. Because, for example, the new ministers that have been appointed, you will need new car, new offices, new salary, new structure of pay, everything. If the, for example, an MP that was appointed to public service, for example, if he was just to be sworn in and give a responsibility allowance, there will be no change much to salaries and remuneration commission. So on this NADCO report, we are going to support. Even in parliament, we have brought a number of legislation and policy. Even I'm happy that NADCO captures the issue of corruption. You know, our counties are bastions of corruption. And that is why even on this issue of road maintenance levy fund, most of the members of National Assembly don't want 11 billion to be given to governors because they are accusing governors of perpetuating corruption. So in this NADCO, there is a proposal that we must fight corruption. And the only way to fight corruption in this country is that if you want to ensure corruption does not happen, the way when you go to Japan and China where people are being hanged for being corrupt, we should propose, and we even propose under Economic Crimes Act, I think that one of 2 or 3, we should prosecute the people who are corrupt within 6 months. The problem in this country, when somebody is found with corruption, they are prosecuted to eternity. So what we should propose, and I'm happy the NADCO, and the NADCO gave birth to broad-based. And now that Raila Odinga, you know, there was an attempted coup in June in 2024. Although the JNC protests were done with good intention. But along the way, there was infiltration of criminal elements. And those criminal elements wanted to do a coup. And when Raila Odinga came on board and stabilized the government, that is when now we had broad-based government. And this broad-based arrangement, I want to assure the country, will go beyond 2027. We will engage.
Most of the JNCs who are actually championing the maandamano, that was not their topic. Their issue was, apart from corruption, they felt that they have been left out of the government.
Correct.
So they also felt that maybe when the President Ruto was reshuffling the cabinet, he should at least have included some of them.
But the GNCs are there, like this guy of water. He's a GNC. And the news peers of information. But you know, the fact that I think what should happen is not even having GNCs in cabinet. What should happen is we have deliberate affirmative interventions to ensure most of the young people, including GNCs and millennials and others, and the youth of this country, have access to opportunities without unnecessarily knowing or becoming a cabinet minister. Because if we fight corruption, the services will be easily, because when a GNC wants to get an ID, they will not need to buy their way through or a birth certificate or want to what we call kazi maju kwa mfano. Also the issues of fixing roads. So I agree with when the GNC say they wanted a better governance, that is good. Because if we fight corruption, if development is in mashinani and in our towns, if kazi mtaani is there for the young people who maybe have not gone to job, those who are going kazi maju, if the public service, and we have said this public service, and I have said, even I have sponsored a motion, that why should you take interns, which are majorly agencies, to work for government 1 year, then you throw them to the street? I have sponsored a motion that under the Public Service Commission of this country, we should ensure that when Gen Zs or young people are interns, the government must and should deliberately absorb them under permanent and pensionable terms. Because one, that person who has worked for 1 year for government agency, you have used resources to train them. They now have capacity. Then why give them 1 year like the way NYS used to do? They take people to be trained in NYS, then they are thrown on the street. But I'm happy nowadays, before you become for police training in Kiganjo, you must have gone through NYS. So that is how, to me, I agree that Gen Z are working the consciousness of the nation. We have a good conversation about the good governance, fight against corruption, more resources, more youth agenda of across the country. But that one should not stop there. My advice to Gen Z is, because some of us who are millennials, we got into leadership when we are quite young and we are still young, is for them, if they want to do a proper change, a change that they want to change some of these things, is for them to get an ID card, to get a voter's card, and in 2027, because this country, you can only change power through voters.
Senator, the main problem that the Gen Zs are facing, after somebody has gone through school, maybe he has finished the university,
yes,
when he apply for a job, they always restrict about the work experience.
And that is why I'm saying the only way we can cure that is through internship. But the problem, they get interns for maybe 1 year, but now Public Service Commission does not absorb them into permanent and pension.
Yes.
The only way we can cure that is to create probation of 1 year. You work for a government agency, or even work with the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. We say, whenever they are hiring, especially in private sector, they consider the 1 year that those young men and women have gone to interns. Then we can be able to cure the issue of experience and the issue of getting into the job market. And I want to assure you, we cannot absorb all the young people. And that is why the president has been talking about Kazi Maju. But the sad reality is that under the labor ministry, some unscrupulous individuals have taken advantage. And that is why even in Eldoret, in Nairobi, even in Nandi, people are being, they are being conned daily.
Yes.
They are being told, give us 400,000, we'll take you to Bahrain, we'll take you to Qatar, we'll take you to Canada, Australia. So now the president has talked about labor mobility, which according to estimates of labor ministry, at least we're having almost 500,000 young people who have gotten opportunities away. So, you know, many people don't know there are almost 3 or 4 categories of young people. One, there are young people who did not finish school. Most of them are hustlers, they are border riders, they are working in hotels like this, they are in hospitals. So those ones, there is how you handle them. The only way the president tried to handle that issue was creating Hustler Fund. Number 2, the young people, you and me, who have gone to school, we are looking for a job. So that is another category, and that is why I'm pushing PSC and interns. The only way to cure is also the issue of internship and observing them to permanent and pensionable. The way I push junior secondary schools, that the interns that were being pushed from JSS, now they are PNP under TAC. Number 3, there are young people who just want to be entrepreneurs like you, and other many young people who are watching us tonight. Those young people are people who want to get out and maybe get a good working environment. They don't necessarily want. And then the last category is, we come from Nandi and Rift Valley. Most of us are farmers. So the young people who want to stay in the village and become agribusiness. So the only way to cure them is create farming, because farming incentives, because in this country the average age of a farmer is around 60 years.
Yes.
Yet we have new technology. We want to do agribusiness. You want to market in Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, and many other social media where you can exchange. And I'm happy. I am aware of many agribusiness young people. So all those, you know, many people have lumped young people to be one category. Even if you get those Gen Zs, you will get a Gen Z who did not go to school because they didn't have school fees. You will get one who has finished school fees. You will get one who wants to do business. You will get one who is a border rider. So we need, when we are sitting, and that is why, in conclusion, that is why the government has started what we call digital hubs. We have a young man who is in Kaiboy.
Yes.
He has never stepped in Germany, but he's earning money. He has never even gone to Nairobi. And those digital working online. So there are young people who can sit and digitize. You have seen, and by the way, you should thank President William Ruto. We have monetized social media. That is why if your program will get more views, maybe on YouTube and online and on TikTok, you monetize and get your money. So we must agree, and there are also young people who are in what we call, apart from content creators, there are people who are in entertainment. As we talk today, the public debt, both internal and external, is almost 11 trillion. Every 100 shillings that we get in tax, almost 80 shillings goes to payment of tax.
Lakini why should you tax?
And you know, Kibaki, people are celebrating Kibaki. Kibaki said, kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea.
Lakini sasa, why tax somebody who is using YouTube? YouTube is an international platform.
What the conversation should be working is, how do we work with YouTube? At least when they get paid, they should at least pay something to government on taxes, so that the government can get revenue. That is the whole point, because at the end of the day, if government doesn't get revenue, there are no roads, there are no medicine in hospital, there is no money to go to counties, there is no bursary, there is no education, so at least at the end of the day, government must at least tax. What we should, by the way, in this country, what we should be pushing is when we pay tax, does we get the value? I think Kenyans don't have a problem in paying tax. They only have a problem because they don't see their tax ikifanya kazi.
Vile tax inatumika.
Correct. For example, if the tax we pay And you go to hospital, upate dawa, upate barabara, you get, ukienda nyumbani, you get bursary, watoto wanaenda shule, everything. I can tell you, 100% of Kenyans don't have a problem in paying tax. The only problem they have is how their money is being spent. Because if you go outside here and you get a good road, you go to hospital, you get medicine, you get bursary, you get, when somebody is traveling, the roads are good. I can tell you, Kenyans don't, and that is why when you go to Western countries, Europe and others, people say, oh, uko ni mzuri, maju ni mzuri, is because when taxes are being collected, they do what is intended. And that is why it comes back to what Gen Z were protesting about, Afghani's fight against corruption. Because we collect this much, but we don't see the end result of the taxation. And that is why even in the issue of social media and content creators, I think what you should be discussing is how the KRA can sit with the content creators and people in the entertainment industry, people use online like you, sit and agree with KRA. I don't think you have a problem in paying tax, but you must see value for the tax that you pay. Because the tax you pay will allow us to buy medicine in the villages, roads in our homes, and water in our homes, and many other issues. So
what is the government doing to empower the content creators? You know, you cannot just come and tax the content creators, yet you are not empowering them in any way.
And that is why one of the issue what the government is doing is laying of fiber optic cable, which has been done over 80%. Number two is creation of digital hubs. And the president has directed that under CDF, all members of National Assembly, we must have 290 digital hubs. What does that mean? It means in the village where our young people are, they can walk to that digital hub. There is an internet, there is a computer. So they can do their creation. I have seen in Nairobi, where Nairobi, they don't charge young people in doing their content within Nairobi and taking photos and what have you. Even in our cities like Eldoret, Kisumu, Mombasa, we should encourage young people whenever they want to do film, maybe video film shooting for content creation, we should not tax them by the county government, because you know they will always tax. Even if you want to do a show on the street, they will tell you must pay a certain amount. The only way is, one, through efficiency in terms, and in those digital hubs, there must be an internet and a computer. So a young person does not need to buy data bundles to do his content creation or our content creation. They use those digital hubs. Number two, those digital hubs are connected with online job opportunities. And that is why I was giving you, I'm forgetting the name of the young man in Kaiboi. Even in Taptengele here, unafinya computer, things come out. So that is another way, is the only way to empower content creators is ensuring digital apps have internet and computers. Number two. Number three is ensuring that these digital hubs are linked with online jobs so that it becomes easy for the young people.
You also talked about people being conned. Eldoret has been a major city where many youth abroad.
Yes.
As a vocal leader, what are you doing about it? Because the victims are from mostly from Wasingishu, and Eldoret, and Wasingishu, Elgeyo Marakwet, and Nandi.
We did an investigation and we recommended sanctions, that all the agencies that have been involved in dubious recruitment processes in our country, they should be banned and prosecuted. Okay. And they are proper. In fact, by the way, I want to challenge you and your viewers to look at the report that we tabled in the Senate. We recommended in first choice, for example, that one, the owners and directors must be prosecuted by the DCI and DPP. Number two, they must be banned from doing any recruitment, either in their name or in any other names. Number two, their property and assets must be attached, with possibility of selling them and using the money from the proceeds in refunding the victims, which was almost close 10,000. Some of them were conned that they would go to World Cup in Qatar, for example. So that is what we are doing. The biggest weakling in the fight against fake recruitment agencies in this country is National Employment Authority, because they are the regulator body. Because, for example, we realized when in the investigation in the Senate about first choice, they were clinics. They were not clinics. People were giving specimens of blood sample and many other samples to clinic that is not authorized. Fake insurance were being issued, yet we have Insurance Regulatory Authority, IRA. Even we had Ministry of Health. You remember we summoned CS Nakumbicha at that time when she was the CS of Health. So this syndicate of fake recruitment job opportunities abroad is becoming a serious issue. Another weakling, apart from National Employment Authority, is Ministry of Labor. Because some of these fake recruitment agencies, they have complicity within the Ministry of Labor. And that is why the other day we were calling out CS Alfred Mutua. The other day when young people were being called, you realize that some of them were being told they are paid the money, they are yet to receive any headway. So if we have to be honest, is that Eldoret and Nandi and Elgeyo Marakwet and Uasin Gishu and Nairobi are the bastions and hubs, like the one of Kamwenge or somebody who was on TikTok that was using TikTok to con people. Yes. So the weakling is, the problem is not young people who are looking for opportunities. The problem is the regulator called National Employment Authority and the Ministry of Labor. If those agencies work very keen, our people are going, and you know now people are being con kidney. You know, people are being called organs. Yes, people are illegal trafficking of organs in this country. So my challenge is that the DCI and National Intelligence Service should do their job, because most of these agencies, they are being registered, they are being vetted by NIS, they are being vetted by government agencies. By the time somebody is trafficking illegal organs from Eldoret, from Kenya to Israel, there are many processes that are being cleared even through the airport when they are being loaded to the plane, the recipients, the origin. You know, there are many clearance agencies with government. It comes back to the issue of corruption. So the issue of fake recruitment agencies, I want also to encourage young people, before you work with a recruitment agency, make sure you engage National Employment. And we told the National Employment Authority, when you go to the website, they should put all accredited recruitment agencies so that young people can say the arena, for example, the arena recruitment job agencies, they can just Google and get it. And we told them they should indicate the status, if it is active, in progress, or decline, or that has been suspended, so that when young people go to website, they can tell this recruitment agency is active or not active. That is one thing we also say they must put online, and they must update on daily basis. For example, XY recruitment agency was active yesterday. Maybe because of a violation, NEA suspended them. So they must indicate today, so that when I go to the website tomorrow, I might get XYZ recruitment agency is now not active, or it is being suspended, or has been banned.
Okay, let's just take a break. Remember, we are coming to you live from TJ's Boutique Hotel here in Eldoret. You labeled Governor Mutembei as a tribalist. What led to those remarks?
One is that his tribal rhetoric, you know, in this country, we have bad history of issues of negative tribalism. We saw those negative implications and results in 1992 and in 2007, 2008 post-election violence. So the danger of negative tribal rhetoric is dangerous for this country. And when you get somebody a status of a governor, who should, Trans Nzoia is a cosmopolitan county, ni Kenya ndogo. So when you get a leader who thrives in every day talking about a particular tribe, it is not good for the generation to come, it is not good for the country. And that is why I said, since Governor George Mutembei wants to talk about tribalism and campaign on the platform of tribalism, then he should resign, or we remove him as a governor. Then he can go and become a chief tribal mobilizer, which is a vacant seat, so that he can champion a specific tribal interest of a particular group in this country. Because even, and number two, a governor is an executive position. His work under the chapter on devolution in the Constitution is to implement the budget, the resources we give out from the Senate for the governor. Number one. So the governor is overstretching or overstepping his mandate by trying to oversight the president. The people who should oversight the president is as the parliament, both the Senate and that is why I've told him, if he thinks that it is better for him to oversight the president, he should resign as a governor, or we impeach him. Then he goes and runs in Kimilili constituency where he comes from, or Kiminini, where he comes from, or I don't know which constituency he comes from. Kwanza. Come to the National Assembly, Kwanza constituency, come to National Assembly and oversight the president from National Assembly. He is not a prefect of the president, because in that prefecting the president is also using insult, demeaning, and making other irrelevant issues. Number 4, I heard him saying in one of the local media stations in the country, saying that, why would Senator Cherargei be concerned about Trans Nzoia County? The question is, I am the Senator of the Republic of Kenya, elected from Nandi County. Whenever we pass resources, we don't pass resources for Nandi County. We pass resources for the entire 47 counties. And Article 96, he said the Senate shall oversight. So I am not limited to oversighting Nandi County. I, as a senator, just like any other senator of 47 of us, we can oversight. And that is why I want to teach him the constitution kidogo. I think he has been in uniform, and you know he has been in uniform until the power has entered. And you remember even he has been, his nature is to demean people. So in fact, as the senator of the Republic of Kenya from Nandi County, we shall oversight Mutembei, we shall oversight Sang, and any other governor. That is what the constitution provided for all of us. And even you saw this gentleman in the last session when he was the regional commissioner and county commissioner in Narok, he even demeaned Kenyans by calling the Kipsigis community wanasana kama panya. So is that a status of a serious leader in this country? No, that is the status of a chief tribal mobilizer. And that is why even the report that was tabled in parliament was about even demeaning his deputy, Philomena Kapkori, in that report that devolution investigated. And I say the reason maybe he is undermining Philomena Kapkori is not because he comes from his own tribe. And that is what we call tribal rhetoric. Number 2 is the reason, another one of tribal rhetoric when we saw in that report, is also a danger to women. He is promoting femicide, because if you see a governor who is a man undermining a lady who is a deputy governor, he doesn't believe in women leadership. So this person is not only a threat to Kenyans, but also is threat to women by even encouraging femicide, because you remember when the deputy governor of Trans Nzoia appeared before the Senate, she made allegations that people were sent to her office to evict her, to intimidate her even in public functions. So if you find a man fighting a woman, then it is a danger. He is promoting and encouraging femicide in this country. And that is why I said, because the constitution provides grounds for impeachment, Mutembei is not untouchable if he violates the constitution. I saw even in one of the budgets, he allocated almost 6 million to buying of coffins. That's it. When you go to Endebes, when you go to Kitale Hospital, there are no drugs. So this is a governor who has decided that he cannot treat the people of Trans Nzoia, he cannot buy drugs, but he has money to buy coffins. So I am wondering, if he wants to buy coffins for people to die, then who will vote for him? Or who will, and that is why we are telling him Tawe on this.
Okay, Senator, moving on to the next.
You have accused Fred Matiangi of overseeing extrajudicial killings and plundering public resources.
In fact, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, they tabled a report a few years ago. And there was implications, even you people on the media. You covered when there were removal of bodies from River Yala. There was containers that were being run at DCI and then by Kinoti.
But there
were many people in staff. But he was the head of the Interior Ministry. You know, there is what we call responsibility. And that is why when you go to countries that have serious democracy, whenever you are the head of an institution and that head of institution violates the law, you normally resign. And that is why we are saying, before Matiangi runs for the presidency, it is his right. Every Kenyan, even you or me, can run for president. But the point is, we are asking simple questions. Maswali kidogo tu. When you are interior minister, why were the extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearance happen under your watch? The buck stops with the Minister of Interior. And then number two, it is during that time that we switch off the media. You remember the fight with the media. So these guys also are a threat to the media freedom in this country. And many other accusations. You remember when he was the Minister of Education, he was firing and intimidating principals left and right and center. Is that the person who can run for presidency in this country? Number four, this is a guy who has never run even to be a chairman of a cattle dip. He has never participated in an election, even an MCA. And that is why we are saying, if this gentleman wants to grow in politics, my simple advice, if I am to be to play the devil's advocate, is to advise him to run for Nyamira governor. Because the governor who is there, Governor Nyaribo, is having a second term. That is how high he can go. But in fact, you saw David Maraga. David Maraga from the same region is running. Morara Kebaso from the same region is running. Somebody like Maraga, you can discuss about him because at least he has integrity. You remember finally, kuna swali kidogo, there were allegations of the famous Ruaraka land scandal, where it implicated him and the Ministry of Education when he was the minister, where government bought a public land. So the allegations of Ruaraka land scandal, he must tell us where the proceeds, where we use over 1.5 billion to buy land in Ruaraka. He must answer those questions. If he can come to public and say, on Ruaraka land scandal, this is what I did. On the issue of extrajudicial killings, this is it. On the issue of enforced disappearance, this is it. On the issue of discrimination through vetting. You remember most Kenyans from northern Kenya were being harassed when he was the Minister of Interior. So those are small. We are not saying no one should run for president. We are saying let everybody run for president, but they must be held accountable. And that is why, as we talk, President William Ruto does not have competitors. What he has are participants in this president's contest in 2027.
Okay, Senator, how do you reconcile your role as a national leader with these local critics, with other leaders?
I don't have a problem. The only problem, and it is my nature, ukikuja line yangu ndio, that is where the hell break loose. Or the loose break hell, because what happens is very simple. If you do your role, MCA role is known, governor's role is known, senators, the people see me fighting, is I'm doing my job at the oversight. Because whenever I work to a project in Nandi and question, that is what people interpret as conflict. It's not conflict. It is my oversight as the senator.
I see
anybody else, even you, if you are the senator, you are supposed to do oversight. It doesn't mean that Cherargei cannot do oversight. It is a constitutional duty. It is not about mapenzi, or I see people saying, oh, mukubaliane na governor, mufanye kazi na governor. How can you, there is no problem in working with the governor, but can you work by doing your job? Me, I bring the money, I oversight you. You implement the projects, that is kufanyia kazi raia.
Okay,
it is not about mapenzi.
Nimona Senator, you understand a lot about Trans Nzoia County.
Yes.
We have also seen you have been a vocal critic of Governor Sang.
Yes.
About mismanagement of
Yes.
funds. Can you tell us?
In fact, last year, the members of County Assembly of Nandi were to let down, son. We in ad hoc report, because the MCAs of Nandi County did a perfect job. They did an ad hoc report on 6 billion. They tabled a report that showed that projects worth 6 billion for the last 7 years under Sang maladministration could not be accounted for. The report was supposed to be tabled. It was supposed to be debated and be voted. And that one should have triggered the impeachment of Sang out of office, including some of the senior county government officials. Unfortunately, the allegations we have is a number of MCAs were intimidated, blackmailed, and compromised. And that is, as the area senator of Nandi, and I want to explain because most of the people of Nandi are watching this. Under the constitution, the only people who can trigger an impeachment or a removal of a governor are members of county assembly. As they initiate. Then in the Senate, we confirm the charges of impeachment. The Senate is a trial chamber, like the way when we were removing the deputy president. The Senate comes in as a trial chamber. The confirmation of charges of removal starts from the MCAs at the county assembly. From all the county assemblies. So MCAs were Nandi, a number of them let us down by giving up, and yet I was waiting. I even used to tell my people, nimefika hapa Naivasha, because I was waiting. Because the underperformance, corruption, poor governance that have been perpetuated by Governor Sang, he should have been impeached long time ago. For example, let me give you an example. You remember the payroll scandal?
Yes.
Where ghost workers were found, close relative of him were found, a number of ghost workers, radio callers were found. It was in the public domain. Up to today, he himself as a governor has never held anybody responsible. Number one.
But they were suspended. Most of the workers
But they are
in the
back.
county were suspended.
And in fact, the intelligence I have, wao watu wengine wamerudishwa chini ya maji. It is known in Nandi, number one. Number two, the EACC, and I want to call out the EACC. They came with abracadabra, took the computers. It is now 6 months down the line. EACC has done nothing about that issue of employment or a payroll scandal in Nandi. And it was a fraud. The law is very clear. When you commit a fraud, you are supposed to be prosecuted. They are being paid under the patronage and because, by the way, many people will ask why the governor. Under the constitution, unlike the president, the governor has what we call executive powers, unlike the president. So the buck stops with the governor, because the information I have is a number of his close associates have been returned to the payroll. They have been reassigned many duties. The genuine employees were never returned. The actual investigations are ongoing, and that is why I want to tell the EACC, without fear of contradiction, they should stop playing politics. Because we saw them going to try and arrest Kimani wa Matangi. They arrested him with 12 million.
Yes.
The abracadabra, they took him to EACC Integrity Center. They leave him with a bond of 30,000 shillings. So they are playing politics. When they came to Nandi, they came with media, they took computers. Up to now, not even a single person has been taken to court. And that is what now, that is why you had members of National Assembly, the likes of Junaid Mohammed and the rest, saying, why would we give counties money and there is corruption? It's because there is a weakling. And you know, by the way, many people will ask, let me answer, because I normally see in social media, they tell me, Senator, there are mistakes, what have you done? By the way, the only thing Senate and National Assembly or Parliament can do is to recommend. For example, when we found the issue of ECD, the scandal of ECD of the cement in the last time when Sang was still the governor, we recommended for investigation and prosecution by EACC and DCI. They have never done. Because Parliament does not have power to prosecute or arrest. So many people are confusing. You know, the work of Parliament is to recommend. We do the reports and ensure the recommend. And therefore, even when you go to Nandi, I am happy you are in Nandi today and you'll be there tomorrow. The roads are impassable. Bursaries are not there. I was in, you saw me visiting last year, Kapsabet County Referral Hospital. You still have the videos, you still have the pictures. It's filthy. There are no drugs.
What alternative solutions can you offer to this?
No, in fact, as I said, you can see, for example, even the dysfunctionality in the health sector. For example, there is a place called Koibem, so that I answer on alternatives, called Shiru. Shiru is in Thika.
Yes.
Koibem. So between Koibem dispensary and Shiru is only 1 kilometer. But when you walk across Vihiga, you get drugs and services. But when you walk back to Koibem in Chepkumia, you don't get drugs and services. I was in Chepkongon. I was in the other day, Maraba. I was in Chepterwai. The issue is there is no goodwill. And you know, Governor Sang has decided to leave the county at autopilot. You know, when you are flying a plane, especially for long hours, like 18 hours from here in Kenya to New York, at some point, when you have reached a certain altitude, you just autopilot and leave it to fly on it. So what Sang has done to Nandi County, he has just put an autopilot. You'll only see him active in social functions, taking pictures and being in social media. That's all one of field roles. You will get him active in field roles. You will get him parading himself in weddings. But you will never get him in his office. I can tell you the last time he was in office is 6 months ago. He will only walk to the office, take pictures. I'm sure I can evidence. You can he can come, take a picture with you, post and disappear. He will never sit in office. If you ask him about any projects of this county, he will never tell you about it. Because he's no longer interested in transforming Nandi.
So the ministers are the ones.
And even look at the Kabie diaries. He lied to the people of Nandi that it was being funded by county government of Nandi. Apparently, it was being funded through World Bank and donor funders. And I can tell you, up to today, If you want to know there is a big corruption in Nandi, up to today, Kabiet dairies, which should be functional 2 years ago, the money that Kabiet dairies has taken is over 700 million. And yet, it has not even packaged a 50 or a 10 milliliters of milk in that property. Yet you know very well, to develop a factory, you should not consume more than 300 million. So what Kabiet Dairies has taken 4 factories in one. Most of these projects that are, even when you go to Cherargei hospital, that project has told. When you go to mother and baby unit, that the project was supposed to consume around 400 million. Now it is approaching 600 million. The variation was done without following the law. You go to mother and baby unit in Kapsabet town. You go to Kapsengere dispensary, it has told. You go to even the hospital. God forbid if son gets sick. His hospital just opposite Kobuja has told. That hospital should have been completed like 1 to 2 years ago. The money has consumed close to more than 50 million. There is nothing to show for it. But when you look at as I conclude, when you look at financial year of 2023-2024, he has done Kahaya of 42 million. Kahaya services. County vehicles. Yet during Governor Lagat era in 2013, we had bought vehicles. And surprisingly, when you walk to these garages in Kapsabet, in Eldoret, there are vehicles, but the only issue is to service them.
So
but he decides to
using hired vehicles.
I can invite you the auditor. I will send you the copy of Auditor General report. Yes. So he has hired 42 million worth. Number 2, he has paid lawyers 13 million. It was even in the headline in one of the local dailies. So why use money to lawyers 13 million? 42 million for car hire. Do we need car hire? We don't. If vehicles, you know him, for example, I was surprised. Him. A number of them is being used by senior county officials. For example, him is assigned 35 vehicles. Hired. Today, when he was in Kapsabet town, yes, he was traveling in 3 vehicles. Okay. Because this guy runs away from the people, he comes to a function with 3 to 4 vehicles. What he will do, because ataki raia nini, the vehicle is coming with, he will use a different one. Okay. So anaweza ingia na hii gari, and this car I hired with private civilian numbers. Ujawahi jiuliza, all governors use, if for example Nandi should be GVN 029A, Sang does not use, because he doesn't want to be seen.
Now that anakuja na hizi magari zote, nani anakuanga kwa hizi magari?
That is why I'm saying, kwa hizi magari zote anakuja, one is ndiye ajifiche kwa raia. Saila anaenda na ingine ndio watu wasimsimamishe kwa barabara. Number 1, number 2, unatakana kujua hizi magari ni civilian number plates. Therefore car hire. Number 3 ni all the fuel. Ile magari yote inatumia ni sisi county government ndio inainka. Kwa hizi magari zote yeye anatumia, na of course ako na vitu zake, anafanya mambo yake huko ndani anabeba watu yake, anajua hiyo maneno. Sitaki kuanika yeye hapa, anajua hiyo maneno. Anajua yeye peke yake, kuna wageni anatembeanga nao kwa hizi magari. So the point I'm trying to make is that these lagis, the intention of devolution was not to create mini goats. Haikutakana kuunda miungu. So the problem, we are fighting for money. That is why members of National Assembly wanauliza mbona tuchukue pesa county, kesho tukienda saile tunatetea pesa huko Nairobi. My colleagues will ask me, why would you give you money governor kwenda kukomboa magari for 42 million in one financial year? Because mismanagement and objectives. The way forward is 2 years imebaki. The way forward is 1, EACC wafanye kazi yao. As a Senate, we have tried our best. On many occasions, we have seen Sang appearing before the Senate. We have made recommendations for prosecution. We have made recommendations to removal. Personally, I have had a chit-chat with a number of Nandi County MCAs that they should put their foot down and assist us in holding this. But it looks like they are being intimidated, they are being blackmailed, and they are being compromised. The final point is, what are the alternative solutions? Is also apart from EACC doing their job, is the control of budget. Because what is happening in these countries is voiding of payment. where you get, and I've seen Nandi voided payments almost 800 million. You know what happens in voiding of payments? Whenever they do to control our budget, they go and get the money to pay Collins. But they end up paying Cherargei. That is what we call voiding of payments. And that is what we are telling control of budget before he approves county requisitions. They must investigate where this money is being paid, which service, and the purpose and the intention. So control of budget must assist us. Number 3 is the Office of the Auditor General, which is mandated under Article 229 of the Constitution 2010. They must be vigilant whenever they are coming to do audit. And we have had, because I've been a vice chair of county public accounts up to the other day. We said, and we told auditor, and I'm happy Nancy Gatungu has been very engaged if they have liaison officers in parliament. We told them, we don't want you to audit only financial statements. We don't want you to audit lawfulness and effectiveness. We want you to audit status of the projects. Because the problem we had with the OAG is that they bring literature of lawfulness and effectiveness and also financial statements that they table, but they don't tell us what is the status of projects, for example, in Uasin Gishu. So, for example, every financial year, as I conclude, is in every budget that MCS of Nandi pass of 8 billion, which there is equitable shareable revenue, there is conditional grants, there are loans from World Bank, and then there is own source revenue. And Nandi tuko na shida sana, unajua tuko na eka mingi ya chai hapo Kiborgok, a lot of acres, but you hear them declaring 17 million. Tuko na Kaimosi FTC, wanauza miti yetu, wanauza maziwa, wanauza ndama, but they never declare. So when, for example, 10 billion ikiletwa Nandi County Assembly, they budget for projects. So tumeambia Office of the Auditor General, raia hawezi elewa financial statements, raia hawezi elewa mambo ya lawfulness and effectiveness, hawezi elewa risk assessment. What you do, we have told them, apart from IT audit, forensic audit, which we are encouraging, the aspect is that fanya project status. Tunaka tukujue, kwa mfano Kabie Dairies, ilikuwa pesa ngapi? How long should it have taken? When was it supposed to be completed? You know, when a project is not completed in time, you will not get value for your money. Because inflation will be there. The final one is forensic audit. Forensic audit is you do with the view of prosecution. We have told OAG, mukipata project, na muna suspect hii project imekulwa, do forensic audit, do a recommendation to DCI, the EACC takes up the matter, and culprits are prosecuted. The final weapon that we have told OAG to do is special audit. And I have even recommended to OAG that they must do special audit on major projects of Governor Sang, because those are conduits of corruption, like Mother and Baby, Chepterwai Hospital, Kobuja Hospital, Kapsengere Hospital, the one of Kabie Dairies, and a number even is office of the governor. You remember it has told the residents of the governor, they must do audit. So we do what we call special audit to present a report. When we get that special audit, they can even do in national projects. Then that report is being used to prosecute and implicate people. So those are the alternative solutions that we can make sure devolution works. But as long as governors of this country will continue to perpetuate corruption. Like, for example, I saw here in Nairobi, Governor Sakaja was doing a project called Dish in Accounting. But when you look how the corruption is being done, parents are being told you pay 20 shillings for every child that you feed. But you don't see, you cannot walk to the governor's office and get the breakdown or accountability of the money. Like, for example, Irungu Kangata, as I conclude, so that, we want also to be fair. There are governors who work and those who, for example, Irungu Kangata you saw him, he bought a mobile dialysis machine.
Yes.
He's doing a good job. You saw him distributing fertilizer and seeds. You saw Mutula Kilonzo Jr. is doing factories. They are packaging mango juice. They are doing public participation up to the village level. There are governors who are doing something.
There is, Senator, there is speculation that you may run for governor in the next election. What factors will influence your decision? Will you be vying for governor?
No, even Jesus Christ say you cannot serve two masters. We still have 2 to 3 years before the next general elections. And we'll cross that bridge when we reach there. I think my focus now To be fair, you know, it's not also fair to my people from Nandi and Kenyans to be elected in a seat and start campaigning for another. And that is what has killed this country. You get somebody elected today, the following day is campaigning for another seat. I think you know, my singular focus is to deliver as the senator of the Republic of Kenya elected from Nandi County. When I have delivered on my track record and I have my report card, it is the great people of Nandi who will decide on my future in terms of leadership in Nandi. And I want to assure you, when a decision will be made, I'll be back on this show when we read that, and we will say it. Because, for example, me, I know the challenges that face Nandi County. Having privilege and honor, serving as the senator of Nandi, I know challenges that Nandi faces. I know how it can be fixed. I know what needs to be done. So I can assure you, my singular focus is to deliver on the people of Nandi and assist President William Ruto in terms of delivering on development agenda of this country.
Talking of delivering, you have been ranked as a top-performing senator by Mzalendo. What do you consider your most significant achievement during your tenure?
I don't know what we will do as parliamentarians, and I think that's the reason members of National Assembly don't want to lose CDF. Because it's CDF that will see you are doing something at Mashinani. Okay. I think Kenyans should understand the role of parliament senators. You know, us is to represent, legislate, oversight, and division of revenue. People don't see that work we do in parliament. They want to see a road, and many people don't know that hii pesa analeta Nandi County ni Cherargei analeta ndio itumike kufanya maendeleo. People see the end product, they don't see where it comes through. But me, I'm proud. One, I've sponsored a motion against fight against anti-doping in this country. I did sponsor a bill, a number of bills. One of them is the County Attorney Bill, County Attorney Act, which was signed by the President. I'm sponsoring a motion on the issue of absorption of interns into permanent and pensionable. I was one of the people who pushed the policy change to ensure that we transit the junior secondary schools from interns to permanent and pensionable. I am pushing a bill, and I hope National Assembly will fast track that bill. One of the bills I'm pushing is Anti-Stock Theft or Gold Livestock and Produce Act of 2024. Which I drafted. It has been passed by the Senate, and I'm grateful to the senators for passing that bill. I am also with Mheshimiwa Rahim Dawood. We have passed, and I'm happy that bill has been passed, on what we call Cancer Prevention Amendment, where we want to use telemedicine. Telemedicine means you are here in Nandi or in Uasin Gishu or in Elgeyo Marakwet or in Nairobi, and you can talk to your doctor in India or across the globe. So I'm one of the people who did that Cancer Prevention Amendment, where we are introducing telemedicine with this technology. You don't need to travel to India or any other country.
How can you rate President Ruto's governance? Do you think he will be re-elected?
Come 2027.
I can confirm to you that so far President William Ruto has over 90% in terms of performance. It is the naysayers that don't see the performance, because they just, and I've told you, William Ruto as of today, he has no serious competitor. What we are hearing are participants, so I can give him 90 as of today, and in terms of performance, he has performed extremely well, both in development and politics. And I saw people, when I made a comment a few weeks ago, that no Kenyan president has gone a single term, and it is a fact. President Kenyatta Senior, Jomo Mzee, alilima yake, because he was not term limited.
So should we re-elect?
Moi state on. Kibaki alikula 10, Uhuru alikula 10, so hii ni 10 bila break.
So tumpigie kura kwa sababu hakuna president ashaenda.
No, I'm just
ama
saying,
according
you know,
to,
it's
okay.
an history. You know, history is a good teacher. I can assure you, President William Ruto will surpass the imaginations of many people in terms of development. I've just given you some of the insights of development, like affordable housing, Asala Fund, share. Can you believe Social Health Authority, as we talk today, 21 million Kenyans are registered? 21 million Kenyans out of 50. Under the NHIV, it was only 20.
But other people are saying it is not working.
That's what I was coming. I want to ask every Kenyan to register for Social Health Authority. The reason I'm happy with share is two things. One is, for the first time, every Kenyan, including you who is not employed by government, you will get registered under medical cover. Number one. Number two, for the first time, people who are employed, me as a senator, every month I am deducted at 3,000 shillings. Because I can tell you, hata leo, during this weekend, every weekend, arambe za hospitali za nini, kila mahali. The only way to be is to give every Kenyan, as a senator, siwezi kifika kila mahali Nandi, kusaidia mtu wako na arambe. I can do a few, but I cannot. But the only way is the card. Do you know NHIF used to register only 20%. Na wale walikuwa wanapewa NHIF ni wadozi ambayo wako kwa kazi ya serikali. Sasa tumesema kila mtu. And by the way, I want to ask Kenyans, whenever they are doing assessment, kabla ujeambiwa utalipa ngapi, be honest. Usiandike vitu hauna. If you don't have a job, you don't have something, just indicate so that by the time you are told pay 300, 200. I saw some people, wanaenda sa ile wanafanya assessment, they say things they don't own. When the assessment comes back, they are being told pay 1,000, pay 500. Wanaanza kucomplain. Number 2, I can tell you, SHA, if it works, is the best. I was in Mosoria sub-county. Somebody registered, paid, and they were sorted and discharged in their own bill, yeah, hospital. The only challenge the people say SHA is not working is our governors. Mwaza Nandi. The problem is SHA will only work within the public hospital. And that public hospital is when you go, and I want to challenge governors. The reason wananchi wanasema SHA ifanye is because most of our hospitals don't have drugs. If the SHA is working, you can only get the drugs from that health facility. So what the reason Kenyans are complaining partly is because our governors, but the solution is to fix them. And that is why most of these people, by the way, you ask them, SHA iko na shida gani, they cannot explain. And the people who are crying the loudest ni watu ambao wako na private insurance cover. Ni akina Eugene Wamalwa, ni akina Kalonzo, people who have their own private insurance cover. If you ask them, even if they have registered with SHA, they have never. But they are telling Kenyans it's not working. But I want to challenge you with this program, with your media. Just work in our hospitals. I want you the next time I appear on this show, bring me feedback, bring me videos that will tell us the truth on the ground. Because mambo kwa ground is different.
We'll make sure we record a few videos.
Yes.
I am Colin Sambai, and this has been the Arena Show. Asante sana, Senator, for coming for this debate. Let us meet again next Tuesday, same time, same place. See you.